more than half of young Brits, they thought about packing their bags and leaving Britain to go off and live abroad somewhere. That's according to a new poll. They say, apparently, they're frustrated by rising costs, by taxes, by feeling undervalued.
And that is despite stars like James Corden recently moving back to the UK and speaking glowingly about what the country has to offer and why he loves it. Here's what the Gavin and Stacey Sal told us just last month.
It's funny, you know. So I watch Good Morning Britain and watch the news, and sort of all the time I keep watching these things telling me that everything's awful and it's terrible, and somebody will go, "Oh, I bet you're glad you came back to this." And I always find myself thinking, I wish you could see it from a distance, and I couldn't be happier to be at home. I love it so much. I'm in love with Britain. I'm in love with everything about it, and I think we should all feel very proud to live there.
There you go. When you stand back from something and see it from a distance, it's the opposite of the grass is greener.
Look, I'm not in any way prejudging our debate, but well said, James Corden. Is life really better abroad, or is Gen Z taking the UK for granted? We asked you what you thought about that.
Well, I think if the salaries aren't high enough, people are definitely going to be attracted to live abroad. And I think in the UK, we're limited in terms of where we can go.
Why would you want to move from Britain?
I want to stay here for my family and stuff. I don't plan to move overseas, but it's a nice idea.
If they can move abroad, yeah, I think it's quite a good thing. I don't think necessarily they're talking the UK down.
If people start leaving, then it makes things worse than they are already.
We're joined now by Letis Bomovsky, a 27-year-old journalist who says Gen Z do take the UK for granted. They're not looking at the bigger picture. Stay here. This is the place to be.
While 25-year-old business owner Austin Okolo is looking at emigrating himself.
No way.
Partly because he says the people here are miserable.
What?
I mean, Ed is appalled, I've got to say, that you're thinking this. I'm going to come to you first of all.
Dear me.
What is wrong with life in Britain if you're a Gen Z?
What is right? So I think it's interesting you raised James Corden. Obviously, his experience in the UK is very unique, very successful, you know, probably financially successful as well. So him saying, "I'm coming back here, it's amazing here," is very different to a Gen Z struggling to find work, struggling to get on a property ladder, struggling to make new friends. It's a very different experience. So I think I would love to get a different perspective to what you've shown. I think James Corden isn't the right case study to ask about London.
I get it. I get that, because, of course, your challenges are you dreaming of ever owning a house, and he made a huge success abroad and can afford that easily.
Sure. And also I run a recruitment agency, so I help young talent get in the job market. And a lot of them, they can't even afford to get the train to their interviews. That's not a society that is serving them. A society is working against them. And I think that, you know, TFLs getting more and more expensive, trains are getting expensive, kids are going to university, taking on debt and struggling to get a job. That isn't a society that these guys want to live in. And you can't blame them for looking outside the UK for opportunities if they're not being provided.
Can't argue with
cup
that.
of tea, great weather.
You're right. The fish and chips make up for the 45k debt. You know what? I changed my mind.
I think James Corden actually said it perfectly. And this idea, we're so introspective on what's going on here in the UK that we have no idea about what's going on in the wide world. It's not like all these other countries have this perfect system. Look, for example, at the NHS right now. We have a free healthcare system here, and I think that's something we take massively for granted. The number of missed appointments between the ages of 16 to 30 is in the highest range. If we look at America, where James Corden has just come from, it is so expensive to have healthcare out there. My sister, she's got a nut allergy. One EpiPen would cost $650, whereas over here, you get it completely free. That's something that we've always grown up with, and it's something we completely take for granted.
Gun crime?
Gun crime, definitely, we take for granted.
There's a knife crime issue in the UK here as well. So,
But there's crime everywhere. If we look at just the rate of crime in comparison of the UK compared to the world, if we look at homicide rates, it's 1 in 100,000 per capita in the UK.
That I disagree with.
In South Africa,
there isn't crime
40.
everywhere. There isn't crime everywhere. Australia, there is some form of crime, but Australia is a lot safer. Dubai is a lot safer. So
Dubai is a lot safer. OK, well, let's talk about Dubai, actually, because I will say that there's a huge amount of British expats who are going to Dubai. They're seeing it as this beautiful place to move to, warmer weather, less taxes to be paid, lower crime. But what they're comparing that with is actually the fact that rights for women are way less there. You can't have, you know, open relationships. The censorship that goes on there is outrageous. So you're trading your sort of freedom in terms of taxes for things that actually make Dubai a much more intense country to live in.
OK, so that's the point. Are you just being selfish? You're thinking of your own individual position. Look at you laughing, Mr. Asli. You're thinking of your own individual position, the short-term gain of going to somewhere where there's tax-free, maybe you get the perks of having your accommodation paid for, you're getting a lump of cash and not thinking about the bigger picture, and in doing so, talking down your country.
Well, I think if you want to go to countries that's going to provide you safety, opportunities, I think everyone's selfish. Who wouldn't want that? Who'd want to be miserable? And if anything, it's you being happy in yourself that allows you to give more to others. And that's the reason why I think the UK is so miserable, because people can't afford to live, half the income is going to rent, they can't get on a property ladder, you're going to be a bit miserable. And I think that's what's actually adding to people being more miserable. So I think that, to answer your question, I think sometimes you've got to be selfish to give to others. And you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think right now, too many people are pouring from an empty cup.
Lettuce. By next year, I'll have lost 2 of my sons to the US due to better opportunities and their chosen career path. The UK has nothing to offer future well-being and opportunities. That's one of our viewers.
I'm not going to say that there isn't difficulties going on here in the UK, that the job market isn't difficult, but I don't think that's just a Gen Z perspective. And I think it's a bit selfish, as you said, you know, to just be looking
I didn't say.
inwards.
I asked a question. I don't want to be accused.
To be thinking that our rights in this country, that we deserve to have so much more in this country, whether that is in the job market. And I think the idea that America, or even, I mean, Spain, for example, they've got a significantly high proportion of their youth who are unemployed. So these issues are not just UK-based issues, and they are global.
My big argument
You've been brilliant.
You can't tell people how to feel. So, you know, I used to the other day, if I'm going to date with a girl, for example, and she doesn't appreciate me, I can be like, no, you've got to appreciate me. You've got to do things to make you appreciate them. Why would a young person appreciate a job market that isn't serving them? Why would a young person appreciate a housing market that isn't serving them? You can't force them to appreciate. You can't tell them appreciate. No, you make them feel wanted.
Really?
And if you don't feel wanted, they're going to go.
Don't go. But we asked everybody at home, didn't we?
If Gen Z is taking the UK for granted, 48% of you said yes, 52% of you said no. It's on a knife edge. Lettuce, you did brilliantly. Austin, I think we're turning you round, but we need to do more work.
I'm not sure we are. Look at his face.
Afterwards.
I don't think so.
Brilliant debate.
He's got a
Thank you so
fast car
much.
to the airport as we speak. Thank you, both of you, very much indeed.